When I say coffee and kopi, does that mean the same thing? What about apartment and aparte? Exactly. Presenting to you, Konglish versus Loanword.
What is the concept of borrowing linguistics? In linguistics, borrowing, which is also known as lexical borrowing, is the process by which a word from another language is adapted for use in another. The word that is borrowed by is called a borrowing, a borrowed word, or a loan word.
How can Konglish and Loanword become different? Well, it is different because Konglish is the Korean version of English word. How can it be like that? It is because the word is transformed into Korean using the Korean phonetic system. What about Loanword? The meaning and the phrase of the word is the same as English. Let me give you examples to clear up your mind. The word in English is virus, but when it is transferred into Korean, it becomes virus. From this word, we can see two things happen here. The first one is the V. They replace the V with B to turn it into bai. It's because in Korean, they don't have much fricative, so they change it to pronounce it like bai. The second thing happen is, at the end of the word, they insert a schwa to make the pronunciation become se, because no Korean word end with just consonant. So, the pronunciation becomes se, and the full pronunciation of the word is virus. The second example is from Konglish, which is the word apartment. How do they transform it into a Korean word? They cut short the back and then they just pronounce the front letter, which is aparte. There are also other types of Konglish if we can see, if you watch a lot of Korean drama, of course. For example, personal trainer. If you see how they pronounce it, they only pronounce the front letter of each word, which is PT. And also, some other words that they cut short, like health and like remote. Remote is from remote control. Isn't it just magnificent that they cut it short, but we can still sometimes understand it because we watch a lot of Kdramas? It is insane. What is interesting about Konglish and Loanword? If you happen to watch Korean drama, even though you haven't studied Korean, you notice that you can understand some words that is, the pronunciation is like English, but exactly it is also a Korean word. Isn't it fascinating? You won't imagine how many words you already learned. In case you don't know that the word is actually considered as loanword from English to Korean or Konglish. When did this phenomenon start to happen? It happened around the World War II when Korea was still a Japanese colony. Some English words came into Korean through the Japanese. And how do they transform it? They transfer the English word into Korean through Korean phonetic system. The Korean alphabet system was created by King Sejong in the 15th century, replacing the existing Chinese script called Hanja. It is what they use to transfer the English word into a Korean word. After the Korean War, more foreign culture is inserted, most likely to South Korea. Here, I will give you some credible evidences from the drama or movie that is produced by the Korean company to be able to tell between Konglish and also Loanword.
강남에 50평대, 주상복합 아파트.
김사부는 좀 어때요?
일단 엑스레이는 깨끗합니다. 열도 많이 내려.
So from the video, you can actually tell which word is Konglish and Loanword because the pronunciation is pretty similar to English. So you will be able to tell them and you understand them even though you haven't learned the word in Korean. I hope I had enlightened you a bit about Konglish and Loanwords, and maybe you will be interested to learn them in the future. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. 안녕하세요.